Going to talk today about something I don't see a lot of coaches talk about, and that is business overheads. So you see a lot of coaches talk about how much they make on the front end per month, 20, 30, 40K per month, maybe even 100K. But they never tell you about the business overheads, because ultimately that is what's going to tell you about how profitable a business is. It's great if you're making 20K a month, but if you're spending 19K a month to get there, you're not very well off. I really care about the business overheads. Not only that, I want to give you guys an understanding of what it's going to take and what the kind of general costs are whenever we're scaling, building a business, and what it's going to take. So, going to run you through all the costs within my business, where I run a 90%, well, nearly 90% profit margin, and hopefully give you an understanding of kind of the tools, the software that we want to be using, some considerations why I use the things that I use, and ultimately how much money I spend, so you guys got a really good understanding of what it looks like for you. If you are enjoying this sort of content, please make sure that you are subscribing. It's really important to me that people are subscribing, that it makes this worthwhile. So I really appreciate if you click the subscribe button if you are enjoying the content, and I'll make sure I keep this stuff coming out to you. So I've written a list on the phone about different forms of software bits that I use, which are all going to contribute to monthly costs. So first and foremost, I'm looking at sort of things for content creation. So I don't pay for a videographer. I used to use one. I don't use one. I have one in my other businesses for sure. But for myself, I'm just recording this on a webcam using my DJI Osmo as a webcam. So there's an upfront cost for that. You can quite easily use your iPhone. But for content, I'm typically doing it myself. This is all plugged into my Mac, so using that. But I do use some software. So I use Canva to edit sort of data. Some people use Adobe, but I like Canva. That's £11 per month. I'm not sure what this is in dollars for you American guys, but it's maybe like 30% more. I use Riverside when I'm doing kind of podcasts or editing down software. So, for example, what I'll often do is I'll film this, put it onto Riverside, and that'll allow me to kind of clip things up. There you've got a magic clipping tool. I can also drag out the audio. I'm going to put that onto podcasts, and I'll kind of use that as my editing software, so to speak, because I do really basic edits. I'm not not a detailed editing guy, but that's what I'll use there. I'll use Ecamm, which is what this is actually filmed on right now. So I've got the Osmo, it's connected to Ecamm, so that's going to pick up the audio from my Rode mic. It's going to use the Osmo for the video, and it's going to connect it all together really seamlessly. It allows me to kind of drop between various things. So Riverside is 21, Ecamm's 15, Podbean is my podcast hosting software, is £11. I also use Instagram Verified, which is £12, just basically because, not because it gives me some blue tick, because that's exciting, but it's also because I've seen a lot of people have their Instagram go down. And when it's verified, you've got a team that you can speak to get it back. So I think for £150 a year, you can get your Instagram verified. And if there's ever a problem, I can get it back, which is obviously Instagram's one of my main marketing tools. For a cost of £12 a month, £144 a year, I'm going to pay it. And the final kind of content creation tool, if you call it that, is MailChimp. And that's £75 a month, where I'm going to email my audience. Now, just some considerations. Some people have recommended using Go High Level. I don't personally use that, as I just use the email marketing for MailChimp. But as I grow and scale even further, that might be a consideration within what I'm spending money on. But for all my content creation, it's going to be £145 per month. I'll put a list up here so you can see it, and we can see what that's kind of looking like. For my kind of check-in and admin tools, so for check-ins, I use Google Sheets, and I use Loom from the laptop to record a screen recording. So Loom itself is £15 a month, which is probably the easiest software I've used. Some people use Trello. I like Loom. I've used it for years. It's great. For any old school people, I used to use Screen Record, which is screen. I think it's called Screencast-O-Matic. It was absolutely terrible, but it was reliable. Loom used to be super unreliable. It got loads better, which is why I obviously use it now, but it works. Trello is another option I know people are using, but I haven't used it myself. There's Zoom for my calls with my team, calls with prospective clients, one-on-one mentees. I don't use Google Meet just because I find the integrations with Zoom much better, especially when I'm hosting webinars, so there's much better integration for that. And I'll use Fathom, which connects to it to provide an AI interface, which sends directly to the person's email. So I'll do a lot of one-on-one mentee calls. These like 20 calls a week. That provides them some details that they can go directly to their inbox, and then I haven't got to make notes, or they haven't got to make notes during the call. So that's £15 for each of them. I use hosting software, so Dropbox and iCloud. They're two. There's £30 in total. Just for Dropbox is one of my businesses. We host all our video and editing stuff on there, and iCloud is where I host all my things. I pay for Claude and ChatGPT. So Claude helps me with content ideation. Also helps me with kind of like my business planning and just thought processes. I definitely don't use it to write my content, that's for sure, but it's helpful for a lot of business processes. A lot of my research, because ChatGPT appears to be better on the research perspective, is done on that. So I use 2 bits of AI software within my content. In terms of AI, I also use Notion. So Notion's kind of like my personal dashboard, which houses everything from a personal business perspective. So all my stuff is on there, and that's pretty useful. That you can have agents within that, sort of like ChatGPT AI agents work really well, but I just connect it to my Claude so it can bounce back between there. I use a ManyChat automation for like lead magnets. So when someone messaged me on Instagram a keyword, so it could be a comment, it could be a direct message, it will send them something automated so I can get people instantly going through my sales funnel, nice and simple, and that's £20. So it's £20 for ManyChat, £50 for Notion, and then I host my coaching platform, as in my Strom Coaching Academy, which is a coaching academy designed for coaches, probably like yourself, who are trying to grow their business. The link will be down below, but that's £73, so $99 a month to host that. So for all my check-in and admin tools, we're talking £256 per month. So for all those things, that's £400 a month to run a business. Right. So really, I'll be honest, nice and straightforward. With if you were running a really high level of income, and you had very, very small overheads, you could be running at like a 95% plus profit margin business quite easily. Now, the one thing I haven't mentioned there is things like Stripe, which does take a payment percentage. I think Stripe's like 1.5% maybe, but that's an easy way of taking payments. You're not going to have someone paying directly into your account. Stripe's phenomenal, so I haven't included that within that. I base this on how much I get after Stripe, because that's what comes into my bank. But there will be a cost associated with that, just so we're clear. And then we've got my big costs of the business. These are kind of the investment pieces, if you will. So number one, mentoring. So mentoring for me is $875 a month. I pay for a business mentor, and that is honestly completely the best money I spend. It's allowing me to stay accountable, for one, and it allows me to bounce ideas off someone who's at a much higher level. I've always had mentors within the first probably year of me starting, had mentors after year 2, and now I'm on year 4. I've got another mentor, and every single time they've helped level up. So that's probably the biggest individual cost within my business, $875, and absolutely worth it. I also pay for my car within the business. So I've got an electric car within the business, Polestar 4, if anyone wants to know. It's definitely a bit of a downgrade from my M4. I had an M4 comp BMW before, but hey, it's an electric vehicle, get it for the business, makes complete sense on that front. That plus insurance, $585. Not technically a business cost, but it is because it's through the business, but absolutely worth it for anyone that's a business owner, tax deductible, and it just makes sense, okay? I've got my accountant, so I pay for my accountant, who obviously does my books. This is £200 per month. Again, money well spent. I use Coach Accounts for anyone in the UK that's interested. They're phenomenal. Gareth, who's the owner, is a friend of mine. He actually opened Physique Collective with me. He's amazing. So anyone that's a coach in the UK, if you're not using Coach Accounts, you're letting yourself down, because it's unreal. Funny story, they actually saved me probably around about 20 grand of tax in my first year, because I was with a previous accountant who completely cooked my books, and I was basically due to pay way more tax than I should have done, just because they missed out loads of things. We got that sorted. He sorted it for me and ended up saving me a lot of money just from actually having the correct numbers going through. So that was really helpful. And then finally, my pension. So I put $2,000 into my pension per month as it stands right now, just to get investing into the future. Over the next couple of years, I do want to get this up to kind of that 5K max amount per month, just for the tax efficiency standpoint, and also just invest in the future, because it just makes sense to. But for now, the 2K per month is there. So this area is like the biggest spend in my business by a considerable stretch. It's like £3,600. So it's definitely a cost, right? It's definitely a cost within the business. However, it's the things that's kind of investing in future me, driving me around, and my own learning. So it's super important. Now, obviously, this doesn't cover any costs like courses, any things I need to buy for the business as a one-off basis, but this is on a monthly recurring basis. These are the costs that I've got. There's obviously other things, like I've got a Mac Mini I just bought. I've just got iPad. I mean, I'm literally an Apple fanboy because I've got everything. I've got iPad, Mac Mini. I'll obviously, at some point, I'll buy a new monitor. I've got some key lights, which are looking at me right now with a nice mic. I'll pay on education courses. I'll buy books. But from a monthly perspective, those are things that I spend. And that's again, a business that's running at around about just shy of 90% profit margin. So you can really build a very, very successful, very profitable business with the right tools. And those are the tools that I use. Now, of course, I'm sure there's people that are saying, use this tool, use that tool. And that's cool. Like, that's completely fine. Those are the reasons that I use those things. And they work for me. They may not work for everyone else. And I'm going to experiment with other different bits. I'm potentially even looking at some different coaching software. I've always been on Sheets. I'm having a look at some other things as it stands right now for various reasons I might go into in future videos. But these things are my costs. That's my cost. So hopefully that is really helpful to you guys to understand where we're spending money, what tools we're using, and hopefully give you an insight of like if you're spending too much, too little, what's a ballpark. Hopefully you get a lot from this video or this podcast if you are listening in your ears. So just a shout out to my sponsors. Finally, we've got Strom Sports Nutrition, the best supplement sponsor on the market. So check them out. Got the code PHYSIQUE for free shipping below. They don't do discount codes, which you know they're good. And that means I'm not going to shill for them, which is great. We've got Thoroughbred Labs for peptides in the UK, PHYSIQUE for 15% off. I want to give a shout out to the T-shirt studio. I haven't got a code for them, but I will be wearing some of their merch in the next few videos, I should imagine, when they send out our PHYSIQUE Collective merch. Shout out to PHYSIQUE Collective. I'm not going to tell you what's coming at the moment, but that's my other business where we are the best education site on the planet for PEDs, and that is physiquecollective.com. We have an app, but there's some news coming on that one very shortly. And then finally, my own school platform, which is the Strong Coaching Academy, designed to create better coaches. It's designed on 4 pillars, which is basically how to have ethical lead generation, how to onboard your clients correctly and get the best results from them, how to be the very best coach you can be, and the mindset to build a great business and one that is going to last you the test of time without burning out. So it's based on those 4 pillars, and there's tons of education on the school site, which is going to really help you as a coach for $50 per month. If you can't spend $50 per month, I've got bad news for you. It's not looking good. So hopefully with the information I've given you today, you can add that to one of your overheads. But thank you very much for listening, for watching, guys. Like I say, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.